To understand the correct protection and cable sizing for a transformer, let's break down the calculations and recommendations step by step. Firstly, let's discuss primary protection. The protection circuit breaker rating for the primary side should be 125% of the transformer's rated full load current, often abbreviated as FLC. For a 100 kVA transformer with a 460 volts primary, we can calculate the rated full load current using the formula FLC equals kVA divided by the quantity of volts times the square root of 3. Plugging in the values, we get FLC equals 100 kVA divided by the quantity of 460 volts times the square root of 3, which is approximately 125 amps. Therefore, the primary protection circuit breaker should be rated at 125 amps times 1.25, which equals 156.25 amps. This value is typically rounded up to the nearest standard circuit breaker size, which in this case is 160 amps. Secondly, let's consider secondary protection. The protection circuit breaker rating for the secondary side should be based on the computed load. In the given scenario, the computed load is 400 amps. Therefore, it is acceptable to use a circuit breaker rated at 400 amps for the secondary protection. It is crucial to ensure that the secondary protection aligns with the actual load requirements to prevent nuisance tripping while still providing adequate protection against overcurrent conditions. Thirdly, let's address power cable sizing. The power cable sizing should be based on the rated current of the transformer, not the computed load. For a 100 kVA transformer with a 230 volts secondary, the rated current is calculated as rated current equals kVA divided by volts. This gives us 100 kVA divided by 230 volts, which is approximately 435 amps. Based on the rated current, the minimum acceptable power cable sizes must be selected from appropriate standards and tables, such as those found in the National Electrical Code or similar local electrical code. These tables provide guidance on the ampacity, or current carrying capacity, of different cable sizes based on factors such as insulation type, installation method, and ambient temperature. According to typical standards, a 1-50 square millimeter cable might be suitable for a rated current around 160 amps, which aligns with the primary side protection. However, a 1-90 square millimeter cable is insufficient for the secondary side rated current of 435 amps. Therefore, using power cables with cross-sectional areas of 1-50 square millimeters and 1-90 square millimeters is insufficient to comply with the required cable size for the transformer. Now, let's summarize the key recommendations. Firstly, increase the primary protection circuit breaker rating to 156.25 amps, which should be rounded up to 160 amps. This ensures adequate protection for the primary side of the transformer without causing unnecessary tripping. Secondly, use power cables with appropriate cross-sectional areas based on the calculated rated currents for both the primary and secondary sides. As an example, 1-70 square millimeter cable and 1-120 square millimeter cable may be used for the primary and secondary sides respectively. However, always refer to local electrical codes and standards to determine the specific cable sizes that meet the ampacity requirements and installation conditions. In conclusion, ensuring proper transformer protection and cable sizing is crucial for the safe and reliable operation of electrical systems. By accurately calculating the rated currents and selecting appropriate circuit breakers and cables, electrical professionals can minimize the risk of overcurrents, short circuits, and equipment damage. Always consult with qualified engineers and adhere to relevant codes and standards to guarantee the integrity and safety of electrical installations. Furthermore, to delve deeper into transformer protection, consider several additional factors. Firstly, understanding transformer inrush current is critical. When a transformer is initially energized, it experiences a transient inrush current that can be significantly higher than its rated full load current, often by a factor of 8 to 10 times. This inrush current can last for a few cycles and may cause nuisance tripping of the primary protection circuit breaker if it is not properly sized. To mitigate this issue, time delay circuit breakers or fuses are often used, which can withstand the short duration immerse current without tripping. These devices allow the transformer to energize fully before providing overcurrent protection. Secondly, consider the impact of transformer impedance on fault current levels. The impedance of a transformer limits the amount of fault current that can flow during a short circuit condition. Higher impedance transformers will have lower fault current levels, while lower impedance transformers will have higher fault current levels. This impedance value is crucial for coordinating the protection devices in the electrical system. Protection devices, such as circuit breakers and fuses, must be selected and coordinated to ensure that they can safely interrupt the maximum available fault current at their location. Short circuit studies are performed to determine these fault current levels and to verify the adequacy of the protection scheme. Thirdly, examine the role of transformer differential protection. For larger and more critical transformers, differential protection schemes are often employed. Differential protection compares the current entering and leaving the transformer. Under normal operating conditions, these currents should be equal. However, during an internal fault, such as a winding short, the currents will be unequal and the differential relay will trip the circuit breakers on both the primary and secondary sides of the transformer. This provides fast and selective protection for internal transformer faults, minimizing damage to the transformer and the electrical system. Fourthly, focus on the importance of grounding. Proper grounding of the transformer is essential for safety and protection. The transformer's neutral point is typically grounded to provide a low impedance path for ground fault current. This ensures that ground faults are quickly detected and cleared by the protection devices. The grounding method used depends on the specific application and the requirements of the electrical code. Common grounding methods include solid grounding, resistance grounding, and reactance grounding. Each method has its advantages and disadvantages in terms of fault current levels and overvoltage protection. Fifthly, never overlook the need for regular maintenance and testing. Transformers should be inspected and tested regularly to ensure their continued reliable operation. Inspections should include visual checks for oil leaks, corrosion, and damaged components. Testing should include insulation resistance tests, turns ratio tests, and winding resistance tests. These tests can help identify potential problems before they lead to failures. Oil sampling and analysis are also important for oil-filled transformers. Oil analysis can detect contamination, moisture, and other issues that can degrade the insulation and reduce the transformer's lifespan. Sixthly, comply with applicable codes and standards. The installation and protection of transformers must comply with relevant electrical codes and standards such as the National Electrical Code or equivalent local regulations. These codes provide detailed requirements for transformer clearances, ventilation, overcurrent protection, and grounding. Adherence to these codes ensures that the transformer is installed and protected in a safe and reliable manner. Seventhly, consider the environmental conditions. The ambient temperature and environmental conditions can affect the transformer's performance and lifespan. Transformers installed in high-temperature environments may need to be deaerated to prevent overheating. Similarly, transformers installed in corrosive environments may require special enclosures or coatings to protect against corrosion. The altitude at which the transformer is installed can also affect its cooling performance, particularly for air-cooled transformers. Eighthly, do not neglect surge protection. Transformers are susceptible to voltage surges caused by lightning strikes, switching operations, and other disturbances. Surge protection devices, such as surge arresters, should be installed on the primary and secondary sides of the transformer to protect against these surges. Surge arresters divert the surge current to ground, preventing it from damaging the transformer's insulation. Finally, remember that proper coordination is key. Effective transformer protection requires careful coordination of all the protection devices in the electrical system. This includes coordinating the primary and secondary circuit breakers, fuses, and relays. The coordination study should ensure that the protection devices operate in a selective manner, minimizing the extent of any outage caused by a fault. The goal is to isolate the faulted section of the system while leaving the rest of the system operational. By considering all of these factors and following best practices, electrical professionals can ensure the reliable and safe operation of transformers in a wide range of applications. These considerations help to create a robust and resilient electrical system that can withstand various operating conditions in fault scenarios. Always consult with qualified engineers and refer to the latest codes and standards for specific guidance on transformer protection and installation.